Now this, when Ronald Reagan was president, he used tariffs to protect American industries. One example, Harley-Davidson. It survived an onslaught of cheap Asian motorcycles, which were then flooding the market. Joining us now, John Heubusch, Executive Director of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and author of that book, The Shroud Conspiracy. First of all, John, I don't think that President Reagan put up tariffs to protect Harley-Davidson. Didn't he subsidize Harley-Davidson? There's a difference here.
Yeah, actually, Stuart, the president put up voluntary restraints for things like steel. That was a massive measure. But on the Harley-Davidson front, there was actually a 45% tariff on bikes that were 700 cc's and smaller. It was specifically to go after essentially the Japanese dumping onto the U.S. market smaller motorcycles. And I'd say, you know, what he was successful in doing was buying Harley-Davidson time for their management to get their act together and adjust to the marketplace.
Can you extrapolate from that and say that, fast forward to today, that Ronald Reagan would have approved President Trump's proposed tariffs on steel and aluminum?
You know, Stuart, that's a tough one because Reagan at heart was truly a free trader. On balance, he was all about free trade. He's the guy that put in place the U.S.-Canada Free Trade Agreement. That became NAFTA. He put in place the Caribbean Basin Initiative. The Uruguay round of negotiations was one of the biggest trade bills in the history of the country. Reagan was behind all that, but at times there were very specific measures as steel, smaller Japanese cars, motorcycles, where he felt that the U.S. was being treated unfairly, and as a result, he had his negotiators negotiate agreements to essentially buy American industry the time to get their own act back together.
Do you think that President Reagan would have approved of the way President Trump conducts himself in office, with his brash talk, his tweets? I know that tweets weren't around back in the 1980s, but he's a tough-talking president, and he's right out there insulting his opponents. Would President Reagan have approved of that?
Well, Stuart, I'd say you probably couldn't find two men more different with respect to their character, their personality, and their style. Ronald Reagan was a gentleman par excellence, just a radically different style. But I have to say, with respect to actually implementing policies, President Trump's policies in many respects have been taking pages right out of the Reagan playbook, and whether it's a stronger defense or tax reform or fewer regulations, their policies line up a great deal. It's just that their style is radically different.
That's very true, isn't it? We make a judgment on President Trump's style. A lot of people don't like it, and the other judgment is that a lot of people like his policies. I suspect with Ronald Reagan, people liked him, and they eventually liked his policies too. Is that an accurate description?
I think that's well put, Stuart. He was a master communicator. Yeah. You know, a big difference between he and President Trump is in the Reagan administration, everything, the announcements, whether regarding tariffs or anything else, was really highly orchestrated. It's smart, effective communication strategies put in place to get people behind the president. And as you say, with President Trump's case now, it seems like it's strategy by tweet, and that takes a lot of people by surprise. That wasn't the case in the Reagan administration.
Got it. John, thanks for joining us, sir. Much obliged to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Happy to be with you.